Okay, cool. So welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to create this cool little title on Blender. Before we begin, we just need to install what's called an asset library. So we're going to go on Chrome or Edge. And if you go to the classroom, I'll have this website linked. And the first thing we are going to do today is just download this asset library with some textures called BlendKit. So all you need to do once you are on the website is click this little purple button here and download that zip file onto your computer. Cool. Once you got that done, you'll see it pops up over on the right. I've downloaded it twice, hence why you can see it twice. Cool, that'll be it for Chrome today. So you can close that once you have that done. And then we're going to open up Blender. Well, once we're in Blender, we're just going to click General. Then we will come up to Edit, down to Preferences. And then if you click this little drop down here, you can install that thing you just downloaded. So if you go over to your downloads here and click that BlenderKit zip and then click Install from Disk, that will install that onto your computer. If you wait a few seconds, you'll see that it pops up here, and then make sure you tick that little box so that it is useful for you today. Cool, once you have installed BlendKit, we are going to get into sort of the bones of the tutorial. We're going to start by deleting the default cube, pressing Shift A and selecting text. Now, if you press Tab, you'll actually be able to change the text. And remember, in Blender, pressing Tab will get you in and out of edit mode. So in edit mode, I'm happy for you to write whatever title you would like. For me today, I'm just going to write Michaela and then NBSC. But if you had an idea for, say, like a title for your film project, you're more than welcome to use that for this tutorial. Cool. Once you have written that, you're going to press Control A to select all that text. Come over to the right here where it says Data. Change your alignment to Center and change your vertical alignment to Middle. Then click Geometry here. You are going to extrude it by 0.15 like that. You can do it more if you wish to. Obviously, it's going to make it thicker, but I think for the purpose of these early days, it's good to just follow along. So 0.15. Press Tab when you're done, and your file should look something like this. Cool. Remember, you can move the camera by just holding the little scrolly wheel on the mouse, and you can also change the angle up here. Cool, once you have pressed Tab to get out of edit mode, you're going to press S, and we're going to scale this up so it's about that big. You can just eyeball it. So just press S and then drag it and hold it so it's slightly bigger than the default. Cool. We are now going to press N for Nelly. And if you look over on the right here, you will see that we have our BlendKit at the bottom. If we click Materials, just by left selecting, double click, you will get all these different materials open up here. What we are going to do now is you are going to choose a material that you want to apply to your title. With some of these, they will crash your Blender, so be very careful of things like this, like little orb and volumetric plasma effects, because if you apply those, there's just too much data in the material texture for the computers that we have here at school. I'm going to go with this Wildered Rusty. Once you have a texture that you like, you just drag it on by left clicking and dragging. You'll notice that the texture doesn't appear straight away, and that is because we are not in Material Preview. So if you press Z and then scroll down, you should be able to see your material applied like that. You can also change the windows up the top here. So if you just click this little sphere here, it will change it. Cool. Now you'll see that the texture has done an okay job at applying to my text, but we have a lot of stretching, particularly on these faces here. So it looks okay from a front view, but from the top, which is sort of where the title is going to be seen, you have this image stretching. So we're just going to fix that now. The first thing we're going to do is make sure we are out of edit mode. So your text should look like that rather than like that. If you right click, you can come down to convert to and turn it into a mesh. Once you've done that, press tab again, and then we're going to change our windows. So you should all be in layout. If you click UV editing just up the top here, you will get this little window appear. And again, if you want to preview it on the right, you just need to click. Cool. If you left select in this window here, press A, and then press U, and then click Smart UV Project. Leave all that as the default and unwrap that. You'll see that we're starting to get less stretching occurring on our texture. And you can see all the different faces of our mesh, of our text, laid out over our original texture in this sort of workspace here. And that's called UV unwrapping. What we're going to do now is we're just going to press S again, and we're going to scale it up so the texture is about the size of one of those letters. So if you look at my K, what you want is your letter to be sort of the size of the texture. Like you can see my K there. Put it like that. That is sort of the desired effect we're going for. Cool, now we get into the animating. So if we go back to the layout window by clicking out of UV editing up there, you'll see that you should have a much better texture applied to your text like mine now. There's none of that stretching. Cool, we're going to delete the light by left selecting it and then pressing X. And we're going to press Shift A and create a sun. So come down to light and then select sun. We're going to move out of the material preview window. So we're going to press Z and we're going to look at this under the rendered view so we can sort of see how light is interacting with our title. If we move it up now and increase the strength over on the right, we'll see that our title is starting to come to life. A little trick you can do now is you can come over to render and click render image, and you can just do a little preview to see how your texture and your light is interacting with that typeface. Cool, so I'm pretty happy with my texture and my light, but obviously if yours was too dark, all you'd have to do is increase the strength over on the right here. We're now going to move the perspective of our camera. So if you select the camera over on the right here, and then move your view like I am now, and move it to a point that you're happy with it, so like this where it's quite centered, make sure you've got your camera selected and press Control-Alt and then the number 0. It will move that camera to that position. Cool. Now, it's not perfect, so I'm just going to move it out, and I'm just going to move it up a little bit more and just double check. Cool, so I'm pretty happy with that perspective. Cool. We're now getting towards the end of the tutorial, which is the actual animation of this text effect. So like we did before when we moved into the UV editing window, we now want to move into the animation window. It'll be easiest if you have this default view in your workspace. So you have sort of the render preview here, your actual workspace here, and your timeline here. We're going to move our text outside of our camera view. So if you just move the Y location to a positive value, it will move it up. If you move it to a negative value, it will obviously move it down. So for me, I'm just going to move it to 13. And if you look at my preview, you'll see that text sits just outside the render frame. Once you have moved it, you're going to press I, and that will create a keyframe. You then want to move down your timeline to about 156 and set that Y keyframe back to 0 and press I to create that keyframe. So if you play that back now, it should look something like this. Oh, we're now going to have a bit of fun with these keyframes. So if you press A, it will select them. And then if you press T, you get these sort of presets that you can apply to the keyframes. So for example, bounce will create this sort of effect. So it just makes it a little bit more dynamic than just sort of sliding in and out of the frame. I'll give you a bit of time now to apply whatever sort of preset you want to use. For me, I'm just going to stick with bounce because I'm happy with how that looks. Cool, we're now going to render this out. So the first thing you want to do is click the render window here. Make sure you have EV selected. The only drop down you want to open is called film. And you just want to click this box here that says transparent. Because we're going to overlay this over video footage later, it's important that you make sure it is a transparent video. Once you have that selected, you then click one more down to output. Leave all these values as is. The only thing I want you to change is the start and end frame here in the frame range drop down. So you'll see my animation doesn't really start till about 10 frames in. So that's going to be my frame start point. And the end of my animation is at about 165. So that's what I'm going to type in there. Cool. You're then going to minimize Blender and make a folder on your desktop and call it 3D title. And that is where we're going to export this file to. Open Blender back up. Click this little folder icon here. Find that folder you just made on your desktop. Double click accept. We're going to use an image sequence here. We're going to select PNG and then you need to make sure you click this RGBA for your color. Other than that, we are good to go. So then you're going to come up to render, click render animation, and you will see this sort of happening in real time. Oh. So once that has exported, you're just going to save this and let's call it 3D title. And then you can close Blender. You're then going to open up After Effects. Cool. Once you have After Effects open, you're going to select this option on the right here that says New Composition from Footage. You're then going to find your 3D title folder. Press Ctrl A to select all, and then click this little box here that says PNG sequence. Get this window pop up like I did, just click the X, and then click the spacebar, and you'll see your finished title playing back like that. Cool. We're going to export this now so we can use it as a transparent video. To do that, you go File, Export, Add to Render Queue. You're then going to change your output mode to MOV, which is QuickTime. Change your channels to RGB plus alpha. OK. And then you're going to output that to the 3D title folder And I'm just going to call it final. Click this button here that says render. And then you have a finished 3D title that you can use over any video footage. Cool. So thanks for following along, and I hope this wasn't too tedious of a exercise for you all.